Welcome to another edition of Good and Plenty Podcast, the college edition. I'm your host, Jeff Goodman, and we have a great guest for you today. Trust me, you are going to want to listen to this one. You're going to hear the insight of the former number one player in the country back in the day. I'm telling you, this kid was going to be Magic Johnson. He was going to be LeBron, whoever you want to say, Renardo Sidney. He was a rising freshman at the ABCD camp in 2005. And we're going to talk about everything from his recruitment to where he's at now to what he thinks about players getting paid, what he was offered by whom, everything. But first, I want you to subscribe to the Good and Plenty Podcast, iTunes, Stitcher. You can find us on CLNS Media. You can find me at Goodman Hoops on Twitter. I'm also employed by Stadium, so you go to watchstadium.com. Remember, College Hoops Podcast every Thursday, the NBA edition every Tuesday. But without further ado, we got to get to Renardo Sidney because this is just really, really good.
Today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. It's never a bad time to start thinking about your investment portfolio. Whether you're looking to buy or sell stocks, crypto, ETFs, whatever it may be, make sure you sign up for Robinhood. I know markets can be complicated, but Robinhood makes everything easy for you. Robinhood is going to build you your own customized newsfeed right when you sign up. They sort certain stocks for you in different collections like 100 most popular or social media or pharmaceutical, and you'll learn more about it as you go along. Get started today. Sign up is extremely easy, and all it takes is 4 taps on your phone to start trading. I had a couple roommates a few weeks ago who wanted to get into the market. They signed up for Robinhood and have been raving about it ever since. The best part is, Robinhood charges no commission fees. You keep all of your profits. Robinhood is giving listeners a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help build your portfolio. Sign up at plenty.robinhood.com. That's plenty.robinhood.com. Now here's Renardo Sidney.
Now pleased to welcome a kid I've known since I think he was like 13, 14 years old when he was ridiculous. I mean, I still say he might have been as good at 13, 14, whatever he was, as anybody not named LeBron James, and that is Renardo Sidney. And Renardo, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Jeff, how about yourself, man?
I am doing well. Now, first things first, I want to say, I'm impressed with your maturity right off the bat because the time we set for this, I wasn't sure whether you were going to be good with it, but you're on time. Everything's good. So I think already we're seeing a more mature Renardo Sidney. Is that accurate?
Oh, that's very accurate, man. I done grown up and, I done learned from my mistakes, and being on time was all, I did that in college as well. I never was the type of player to be late for anything. I love to be on time. So that's just a norm for me.
I just remember, do you remember the time when I followed you around for an AAU tournament? You were playing for your dad's team in Vegas, and I remember you forgot your sneakers, and somebody had to go back and get your sneakers. You remember that?
Well, the plan was for me not to play that game, and I think we started losing.
Yes.
And my dad was like, "Man, I need you." So he sent somebody to go get the sneakers. I ended up getting in the game, and we ended up coming back, but we ended up losing by 2 for a last-second three-point shot. So we ended up losing anyway. But
you went 0-3, and I'm pretty sure in Vegas that time, correct?
Yeah, I think we was having too much fun, and Vegas got to us, and, we weren't focused.
All right, so, hey, first things first, give me an update. What are you doing these days? What's Renardo Sidney up to job-wise, playing ball? What? Give me the update.
Well, right now, I'm a full-time father. I got a almost 2-year-old son. He'll be 2 in January. I train a lot of kids throughout LA, maybe like 30, 40 kids throughout LA. And, I'm just relaxing and trying to regain focus of my life. And, like you said, trying to be more mature. And I'm a grown man now, so I have to think outside the box, So like I said, I'm just trying to be a good father and take care of myself mentally and physically.
28 years old now. You are a man. First, I'm telling you, I think it was 14 years old was the first time I saw you at ABCD camp. You were a rising freshman. I think you and Lance Stevenson were the only 2 rising freshmen there at Fairleigh Dickinson in New Jersey.
Yes.
And You were ridiculous. Like, I don't mind saying it because I'm not alone. Like, everybody who was there, and recently I talked to DeMar DeRozan about you, and I've talked to a lot of NBA guys, and they will all say they're shocked that you aren't in the NBA right now and shocked that you weren't picked not only in the lottery, but a lot of people like myself are shocked you weren't picked like number 1 overall.
Well, things happen, and I guess, after college, I lost focus, and I really think moving to LA, really brought the hungriness out of me. I wasn't hungry no more, and like I said, I thought I made it to the NBA already because, I was in the newspapers and magazines and number 1 in the country. I can, get what I want when I want, so I just stopped working hard, and it all, backfired on me. So, I was shocked myself. Well, I really wasn't shocked, but being 14 at the ABCD camp, I thought I was the best player there. I really proved myself, from 14 all the way till I left high school.
So where did it go wrong? I mean, I kind of point, when people ask me about you, I point to the fact that your dad took you from Mississippi. You were ineligible your freshman year in high school, and he took you out to L.A. And I remember going to a game. I think it was a game that you played DeMar DeRozan in Compton. And I'm pretty sure I might have been the only. I'm pretty sure I might have been like the only white dude there, one of them. And I'm rolling up in Compton, and I'm like, all right, this. You were playing for Fairfax at the time. He was playing for who? Compton Dominguez?
No, I played with Artesia.
That was Artesia. Got it.
Yeah, it was Artesia with James Harden his last year.
That's right. So where did it go wrong, though, for you? Was it your dad uprooting you guys and taking the family out to L.A. and you kind of living that Hollywood life a little bit, or no?
Well, I always tell people, my dad was just looking out for the family. We came up with nothing. And, he was just making sure his family was good. My daddy was the player. He wasn't the player. He wasn't the one playing on the court. My daddy was off the court, making sure that we was good. I was the one that was playing on the court. So I never fought my daddy for that. My dad is my best friend, man. Like my mom, she my best friend. We still close-knit family, but I don't blame him. I blame myself because I'm the one that's got to perform.
What was your relationship like with him throughout the years? Because I know you don't blame him now, but there probably was a point, if I'm guessing, where you might have blamed him when you were younger, and now you have a better chance to look back on it and take accountability yourself. What's your relationship been like with him and your mom, and what's their relationship like?
Most definitely we had a rocky relationship because, he was my coach from 13 to all the way, till I went to college. And, I was the type of player that never could go do, kid stuff. All he made me do was, focus on basketball. And he was a Joe Jackson of basketball. He was that type of dad. He was very tough on me. At times I couldn't have a girlfriend. I couldn't go out to amusement parks and zoos, and I kind of was mad at him for that. But I saw what he was doing. He was just trying to focus me on the task at hand. As a sixth grader, he sat me down and asked me what I want to do as far as, playing football or whatever. Do I want to be great? And I told him I want to be great. So from that part on, he trained me, and it was tough. It was days. It was sometimes in the game he'll take me out, and I'll sub myself right back in. And I would always remember this game. He took me out, and I was about to sub back in. He grabbed me, and I knew it was serious. Then he grabbed me, and we went outside. We had some words, and I would never disrespect my dad, but I was mad at the time because I was doing really good, and he just took me out. But he just wanted me to, rest. He said I looked sluggish, so he just wanted me to rest, and I didn't think that I was tired. So we, had a little tussle outside. But my dad was, my number one supporter. My mom was my number one. They're still married, but they're separated. My dad lives in Vegas. My mom is in Mississippi. She's doing good. She owning her own daycare center right now, which we probably about to open up a second one because it's getting pretty big. Nice. I can say their relationship is they talk every now and then. For me, it was tough because my mom and dad was together my whole life. And as I got older, I just realized, you know, you can't tell two grown people what to do, so they have to live their life. And we just, as kids, as their kids, we just support them. And, just hopefully they both happy.
So I'm most interested in some of the stories from back in the day, Renardo, for me, you know, because, again, I was around it, and I think other people would be very curious to know, too. Like, you're going to ABCD, you're around all this. What types of people are coming up to you? What are they giving you? Are you paying for a thing? Because, again, you're the biggest thing really in basketball when you're 15, 16, even 17, you know, somewhere around that 15, 16-year-old mark. Can you get whatever you want? Are you driving? You know, when you turn 16, you're able to drive. Are you given a car? What was it like?
Well, you know, like I said, coming from not having nothing, and, you know, I had to work hard for what we got. And as far as, like, the money-wise, my dad did everything. Like, as a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old, the first time I drove and got an actual car was my senior year in high school. I never drove to school. I just started driving to school in my senior year. Like I said, my daddy was Joe Jackson of basketball. Yeah. I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't, drive. He always wanted to drop me off, make sure I'm, here, make sure I'm there where I say I'm going. Like, he was tough on me. So as far as, like, getting stuff, of course, I got a lot of stuff. As far as gear, sometimes I used to eat free on Melrose. I used to just walk home because my house was on Melrose and Highland. So I used to walk home.
Wait, your house was on Melrose?
Yeah, Highland and Melrose. Yeah, so it was on the corner of Highland and Melrose.
What type of house are we talking about here?
I mean, it was the biggest house on the block. It was at the corner. It was like 5-6 bedroom. I got the master suite. I don't know why they gave me that, but I guess
you earned it.
Like, yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? And I think it was maybe $1.4 million house. And at the time, I couldn't. I knew that I was getting stuff. We was getting a lot of free stuff. But at the time, like, I couldn't tell my dad, like, no, you don't need to do this. I'm 14. I'm 15, 16, 17. I can't tell him what to do. I couldn't tell my mom what to do because that'd be considered talking back or, trying to tell them how to raise me or something like that. So we couldn't do that. I was raised in a Mississippi, down south family. And,
yes,
I
sir,
was still,
sir. Yeah.
My last whooping is probably when I was 14. We had to say, yes, sir, no, sir. Like I said, it was tough being, my dad's child because he was tough on us. So
have you asked them to this day? I mean, how did you live in a $1.4 million? I mean, was this Sonny Vaccaro shoe company money, do you think? Were you getting paid to play for AAU teams? And I know you're playing for your dad's team, and he was kind of a consultant at Reebok. Did you ask, how was this money coming in? How was this whole thing done? I assume by now.
I knew it was, the Reebok check, and it was agents that would, want to come sit down and talk to me, but my dad would charge them. I ran into an agent a couple of years ago, and he was just telling me the story. He wanted to come sit down and talk to me, and my dad charged him $1,500 just to sit down and talk. So I know for a fact if he was doing that to him, he was doing that to everybody else. So I mean, we had it all, man, and I really didn't complain about it because, like I said, I grew up with nothing, and just being in a big old house like that, and I had the biggest room in the house. I wasn't complaining, but I worked hard for that as well. And that's why, nowadays I want to talk to these kids and tell them, like, it's not bad to take, for your family because you want your family to eat. Most of these kids grow up without anything, and for them to get in trouble for looking out for their family, I think is wrong.
So what would you tell these kids now, and maybe what would you tell yourself even? If you had a chance to tell the 15-year-old number one player in the country right now, or back when you were 15 years old, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell them to make their own decision. I know, you want to be respectable to your parents, but you got to also look out for your future and your career and know it's a lot of stuff out here that can get you in trouble. And, even though your mom and dad, is doing this and doing that, you got to sit down and talk to them and like, hey, we can't do this. Let's just wait until another year, or, let's just wait till I graduate high school. Because once you graduate high school and go to these colleges, I mean, it's fair game. You're grown. You really can make your own decisions.
Quick break to tell you guys that today's show is brought to you by Stamps.com. In today's world, everything is on demand. TV, podcasts, movies, parking, you name it, there's probably an app for it. Well, now you can get your postage on demand too with Stamps.com. Stamps.com operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and is available wherever your desk may be. Sometimes life gets in the way of getting to the post office, but now you can let Stamps.com bail you out. Just click, print, and mail it. Done deal. Whenever CLNS Media needs to send me new equipment or anything to get the job done, they use Stamps.com. It's a no-brainer. Stamps.com will even send you a digital scale. That way you can weigh everything you send out and you can be confident that it's the correct amount of postage every single time. Sign up for Stamps.com today by going to Stamps.com and clicking the microphone at the top of the page. Enter the letters GNP after you click the microphone to receive a 4-week trial, which includes postage and a digital scale. That's a 4-week trial just by going to Stamps.com, clicking the microphone at the top of the page, and using my promo code GNP.
Did you see the recent rule that was put in place just a couple of days ago about now the NBA is going to allow kids to go straight to the G League and actually make some money, $125,000, if they want to bypass college or not go overseas out of high school? What was your reaction to that?
I think that's a good idea because I think it was 2 years before I graduated when they took the high school, going from high school to the NBA out. And I would have went straight to the NBA. I honestly say, my dad never wanted me to go to Mississippi State. He wanted me to go overseas. So I had a contract for overseas, and I had the scholarship for Mississippi State. My mom cried all day long, and I'm a mama's boy, so she wanted me to go home and play in front of my family. So that's the reason why I chose Mississippi State. My dad actually, I don't think he probably came to one game at Mississippi State because he never wanted me to go there from the jump. I guess he
didn't get along. Right, he didn't get along with Stansbury, right. Really.
No, he didn't. They didn't see eye to eye. So, my dad never came to a home game. I think he came to one game is when we was in Georgia.
So, hey, when you hear all this stuff about the FBI corruption, the trials, everything like that, and we hear about some of the allegations that certain schools are offering money, through whether it's middlemen, whether it's through, Adidas or whoever, shoe companies, financial guys, agents, whatever. What did you know about what was going on from the school's perspective and what they were offering you? Because, you end up going to Mississippi State, playing for Rick Stansbury. What do you know about what he did, if anything, or some of the other schools offering you?
Well, I think every high-profile player was getting offered something back in the day. Well, when I was going to school, they probably still doing it, because there's a lot of allegations going on. But I was getting money. I don't know how much. They wasn't giving it to me. They was giving it to my mom. I never asked her how much would they give us or whatever. To me personally, I didn't want to be there. After they, ruled me ineligible my freshman year, after something that I didn't do, which my parents was doing, I think that was very wrong to take my whole freshman year and 10 games of my sophomore year, which I still think Mississippi State, or Stansbury rather, didn't really fight for, to get me on that court, because you got to realize John Wall, he was, had the same allegations on him, but he only spent 3 games. He only got suspended 3 games his freshman year.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3.
Yeah, that whole situation was just, unfair for me. And that's when I gained like 30, 40 pounds. I started smoking weed heavy. I was never a drinker. I never drunk a liquor. I never liked the liquor, so I never got to that point.
It was weed though.
But I did. Yeah, I smoked a lot of weed and gained that weight. And my sophomore year, I actually did well. I don't know why I went back for my junior year. I should have left. My sophomore year, I think I was averaging maybe.
It was about 14 and 8. Yeah, it was like 14 and 8.
15,
I mean, yeah.
And that's top, at least top 10 because of the type of player I was.
Yep.
I don't know why I went back.
What do you mean you don't know why? Wait. You had to know. Who told you to go back? Who told you to go back?
Nobody. And then you know what's crazy? Nobody. I still don't know to this day. I kill myself. I tell myself all the time, why did I leave Mississippi State after my sophomore year?
And you would have been a first-round pick. You would have been a first-round pick.
Yeah, exactly. And,
so is that the regret? Is that the biggest or one of the bigger regrets that you had not just leaving after your sophomore year?
That was the biggest regret, not leaving after my sophomore year. And another regret is I should have listened to, my dad and went overseas and then came back into the draft.
Yeah, you would have been a lottery pick there too. You're right. I mean, no doubt about it. So you said earlier that you didn't see any of the money directly from whether it was Mississippi State or some of the other offers from other schools, but that every high-profile guy got it. So who gave the money to your mother or father? Did you ask them that? Who was providing the money, and how much were you getting?
Well, I don't know if my dad was into it because, like I said, he never liked the Stanberry. He never came to Mississippi State campus at all. I remember my mom used to come all the way down there. I think probably once a month or so. Like I said, I never asked her how much we was getting. I knew we was getting some money.
How did you know?
Well, I mean, she told me. I mean, it wasn't that I was blind to it. I mean, I'm almost a grown man, and I knew what was going on at the time. But I never asked her how much, so I don't really know how much it was, but I know we was getting some money.
So were there things that you had at Mississippi State that other kids didn't have? I mean, is that part of it?
No,
obviously.
No, I was everybody was equal. I just had a 98 Suburban. I didn't really have no fancy car. Probably the only thing I had my apartment. I had an apartment as a freshman, which you got to stay in the dorm room. But I had an apartment as a freshman. That's about it. Other than that, it was all equal.
So if you needed money, it's not like you went to somebody in the staff and said, "Hey, I need a couple $100." Were boosters giving you money? Like, were you hooked up that way, where you could have, spending money? You didn't pay for anything when you went out.
Well, I mean, we had a lot of money from high school. Like, I really never had to ask nobody. I had my own account, and I had my own money, and I really never had to ask nobody because all the money that I was getting in high school and from the agents and from different type of people, and I saved a lot. We saved a lot. That's how we opened up the daycare, and I really didn't have to ask nobody. All that money that we was getting. Whatever they was getting, my mom kept everything. I never asked her for a penny of it. You
finish up. You leave after your junior year at Mississippi State. Didn't have a great junior year. Go undrafted. Kind of what's next? I mean, I kind of know you bounce around a little bit, but give me a little bit of insight into the leagues that you played in, what it was like, how it was for you emotionally, your weights up and down a little bit. What's that whole part of your life like?
Well, I mean, I was lost. After I didn't get drafted, a lot of people stepped back. Like all the people that was on my coattail in high school and throughout college, I couldn't even call to get a penny from the people that, that was on my coattail. And I was just lost. I came to L.A. without anything. I came by myself. I had a friend that let me stay with him, and until I got on my feet, and then that's when I met one of the coaches that was for the D League, for the Lakers D League, and he told me to come try out, and I ended up going to try out, and I actually made the team, and but my blood pressure was always high. I was, unhealthy. After that, I just, took a couple years off. Then I went to Canada, and after Canada, I was just done. Like, I was just really drained. Emotionally, I was wondering like what happened, because it all happened so fast. I lost a lot of stuff so fast, and like I said, I couldn't call nobody for nothing. Nobody would help, and I think being number one in the country, and I did all this good stuff for a lot of people, and when it was time for me, to need help, nobody was there. I lost, family members weren't even calling and checking to see how I was doing. So just emotionally, I was just drained. Sometimes I just was wondering where my next meal would come from. That's how bad it was, and I just was wondering, I was thinking to myself, like, man, I had it all, and I didn't have it. I had it all, and I lost it again. Just being out here alone, all my family back in Mississippi. I didn't want to stay in Mississippi. I could have went back home and stayed with my mom. She's got a nice house, 5-bedroom. I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that because it would have been, I think, worse, because I would have probably got back into the streets, been on drugs more, started drinking. I've never been arrested. I never got a DUI, never had a rape case, never had a drug case. And I wanted to keep that way. I wanted to stay that way. I think if I would have went back to Mississippi, I would have been maybe in jail or doing some crazy stuff.
So getting back to where you said people just kind of had your coattails, gave up on you and you couldn't even really talk to them. Sonny Vaccaro, Chris Rivers, two guys that were high up at Reebok at the time. What's your relationship with them now, and what was it like then when you needed them? Did you try to call
Sonny Vaccaro?
Yeah,
I can honestly say Sonny Vaccaro always been. I never called him, but whenever I talked to him, he was always for me. Renardo, once you get in shape, please call me so I can get you on this team. I can get you this. I can get you that. Sonny has always been there since I met him as a 8th grader. At Reebok U, but I never got back in shape, so I never called. I reached out to Chris Rivers a couple times, and he just denied me. And I'm honest to say that he just denied me. I asked for some gear. He was like, well, I need to see a picture of you on somebody's roster, or if it had something to do with basketball, he wasn't. If it didn't have nothing to do with basketball, he wasn't messing with me. And I reached out to him a couple times, and I thought we had a great relationship over the past years. So I used to come to him and talk to him a lot about stuff. And, I just thought he was another father figure. And once I reached out to him a couple times, he told me, no, man, is it like this? So that's when I realized basketball is a business. If you're not doing playing basketball, if you can't make some money for somebody, they're not going to help you.
What was the low point, Renardo? Was there a point when you were, beyond depressed and I don't want to say suicide or anything like that, but like, was there a point because of where you had been? I mean, you had been at the top, and honestly, you could say like you had been at the top, and then people, as you said, forgot about you. What was the lowest point? When was it? Where was it?
The lowest point was when I first got back out here. I used to sleep in cars. I used to sleep on the beach. Like I said, I used to reach out to people, and they wasn't helping. It was sometimes I was thinking like, man, should I be doing this? Like, and it was one time I watched, I forgot what's his name. Man, he was in New York. He was a top high school ball player, and
Lenny Cook.
He got big.
Lenny Cook.
Huh?
Lenny Cook.
Lenny Cook. I watched his story, and
yeah,
the scene. I cried when he was at his birthday because I felt it. He felt like he had all of this and he's lost it. And, he got all these friends in the NBA that don't, if you reach out to them, they don't help him or whatever. I just felt it, and I cry every time I see that because I feel the same way. I was at my lowest point, until I met Maddie, one of the girls I was dating at the time. She brought me from nothing. Like, she took me in. We was together for a long time, and we actually still trying to work it out right now. But, if it wasn't for her, I don't know where I would be right now. She took me in, and she helped me get back on my feet. She changed the person who I was. I started back going to church and God back in my life. And she made me realize, if you're not going to do basketball, you got to find something to make you happy. And making me happy is something, I still want to be around basketball, helping these kids. I want to coach. I love coaching. I got a son that's finna be coming up in the world, and I'm not gonna beat Joe Jackson like my daddy was, but I want him to I want him to know, like, the importance of taking care of your body, being smart on the decisions that you make. You gotta keep working hard, being hungry.
What's it like, Renardo, watching DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall, two guys that were in your class that have obviously blown up, that are, NBA perennial all-stars? Do you watch the NBA, and how do you feel when you watch some of those guys?
I watch them all the time, man, and it's depressing because I know I was ahead of all them guys. Derek Favors, all the big time names, Lance Stevens, all the big time names. I was ahead of all of them, and it is tough watching the NBA. But I'm happy for those guys because they kept going. They didn't stop. They had good people in their corner. I never reached out. A lot of people ask me why I don't reach out to these guys, because I'm not a coattail hanger on. I'm not trying to call nobody and ask them for money, and which I know they'll do, because anytime I see them or anytime I hit them up on Instagram, they'll hit me back and we'll talk. Like James Harden, people ask me all the time, why you don't hit James Harden up, ask for help? No, I'm not gonna do that. James Harden is where he at. He's doing his thing. I'm not trying to call him and ask him for anything. When I watch the game of basketball, I still think to myself, where would I be if I would have kept going? And I think I would be on a LeBron James, Kevin Durant type thing right now if I would have stayed in the NBA or stayed playing basketball.
What do you weigh now, and kind of where are you at now? I know you're a dad. Have you given up at this point? Because I know we talked recently and you were still thinking maybe there's a chance of still playing pro ball. Has that door been closed now at this point?
It happened, but it's, I actually at one point I was almost 385. I'm down to 330 right now. I've been losing weight, staying in the gym. And that's because I want to be healthy, for my son. I haven't thought about going back to play. Like I said, all I do is be around my son, and I stay in the gym. I make sure that I stay healthy so I can be around for a long time for my son. And like I said, I want to coach, even if I don't go play, I still want to be around, the game of basketball, because I can teach a lot of people stuff. I know a lot about the game. I know a lot about life. All the decisions that you got to make, and all the bad decisions you can't make, so I still want to be around the game even if I don't play. The door is really closed. I'm going to be 29 in December, so I got to make my mind up here soon.
You were a PE teacher recently, right? Are you still doing that? I know you said you were bouncing around to different elementary schools. I forget how you defined it as a physical education teacher.
Yeah, it was a program called STAR, and I used to go to the elementary schools and, be a PE teacher in the morning, and in the afternoon I used to train kids. I don't do it no more because I got my own business, which is training these kids throughout the city. I had put flyers out on Instagram and Facebook and let them know that I was a trainer. And I got a lot of kids, probably, like I said, 30 to 40 kids. And that's really good for me, But I want to expand. Like I said, I want to coach, actually. I want to be in somebody's gym or on somebody's team helping them, prepare the kids. I don't want to do college. I want to do high school. So, because a lot of high school players listen to you. When you get up to the college level, they think they know it all. They grown. They're not going to listen, So I don't want to do that.
NBA is even worse, Renardo. Trust me. Talk to the NBA
Oh yeah,
coaches.
that's why I didn't even say NBA. I didn't even mention NBA.
Yeah, no chance. Do the kids these days that you're training, when you put out the flyers and they call, like, do they know who you are? Do you have to tell them and have them YouTube you or what?
Well, on my Instagram, you could tell, I played, back in the day because I got a lot of videos up of me back in college and high school, and a lot of the kids do know me from around LA. I'm very known. Everybody know me out here because of what I did back in the day in high school, and I was a big time player, and I was always in the community, whether walking around or going to talk to kids. So a lot of kids out here, their parents know me, and that helps a lot for my business because a lot of people know me, and they know what I was about, and I just want to let people know that I'm not the head case that everybody think that I was. It was just a lot of stuff was going on off the court that nobody know, and still nobody don't know. And I just wanted to tell people that that's not who I am. I'm a God-fearing man. I love God. I love my family. I love to smile. I don't have an attitude. I'm just a jolly going guy. Like, I'm not, if you see me in the streets, you'll be like, man, you're not the same. They be like, man, you're not the same person that they say you is on the internet. And, and I want people to know that's not who I am. It's just a lot of speculations.
We've talked a lot of times. Listen, we've talked. We've seen each other many, many, many times over the years, and I will say to anybody, I mean, listen, I fell in love with you as a player when you were young, but I do feel like it was a tough situation for you as a young kid, where your family didn't know how to handle everything.
Right.
It's hard. It's hard for them too. Obviously, your dad, as you said, your mom and dad certainly took some money here, and it's hard to tell them not to. But I feel like there was so many people coming after you, and the most difficult thing was probably staying focused, especially when you went out to LA. But maybe it would have been the same thing in Mississippi. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if LA changed it, but I don't think it helped matters because I think there were just more people out in LA that were pulling on you. I mean, Pat Barrett, playing for that Southern Cal All-Stars team. I don't know what he was giving you.
I played with Master P.
That's right.
Master P team. And you know what? I think it would have been different because I should have stayed with Coach Wayne Brent, who was the head coach at Jackson State.
Good guy.
He was the best coach I ever had in life. If I would have stayed with him, he was disciplined. He was always on me to make the right decisions. And I will always remember this. I had this class of journalism. I had this class, and we was taking a test. But I had a little cheat sheet that I had underneath my desk. He called me, but he didn't come see what I was doing. So he just told me to empty out my desk. So I got this cheat sheet, and it was some more paper in there. So I balled it up, put it in the trash can, and I thought it was over. So I went to practice that day. He had the cheat sheet in his hand. He went to the garbage and saw what I had in there, and he told me, "Man, you can't do this. I could have bust you out in front of everybody, but I knew what you was doing, and you can't do this." And from that time on, I had an A in his class because I always studied. And I knew that that's what he wanted. And I think just being disciplined. I don't think a coach after him disciplined me well because I was so good. I wasn't listening to these coaches. I mean, I was just thinking like, what can you tell me? I'm out here, killing everybody. You can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me to go run. You can't tell me to do this because I'm not going to listen to you.
What about the teachers? What about the teachers, Renardo? You just mentioned Brent as a teacher. Were the teachers in LA in high school when you went out there, did you have separate rules where you didn't have to show up? Because I heard plenty of those stories over the years, too, that kids didn't even have to show up for class.
Yeah. I mean, Fairfax was a powerhouse basketball program anyway. But we did get leeway. Sometimes I wouldn't go to class, and they couldn't tell me nothing either. I think I just did what I want at Fairfax because I was a high-profile player, and, they didn't really care because we was winning and the school was, getting a lot of attention, and it was crazy. It was amazing, man, how much stuff I got away with.
Yeah, well, it probably didn't help you at the end of the day. It was probably fun back then, right?
It didn't at all. It didn't at all. It backfired. Like I said, it backfired. Everything come to the light.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, listen, again, it sounds like you've certainly started to figure it out, and based probably on being on some hard times, it probably made you look at everything a little bit differently, a little more realistic now. How do you clean up college basketball, or do you, Renardo? I mean, is this something where there's just so much that you can do to clean this thing up, that there's too much money involved, too many people around you, whether it's agents, shoe company people? Now there's really been an influx of financial guys that have kind of gotten in there and are going after kids also to make money off them. What do you do from your perspective?
I think you start paying these kids, man. I think you should treat college like NBA. Like, you don't get them as much as NBA, but these kids, they make a lot of money off these kids. As far as like the jersey selling, you got your name on the jersey, you selling it in stores, you selling out all the basketball, football games, and I think you should pay these kids. At the end of the day, whatever they caught, or saying that people, these kids getting money, it's gonna keep happening. It's not gonna stop right now. It's probably gonna get even worse. I just think kids should be paid in college. You should get them at least like get them a contract, and get them money every month. Every month they get some money off of jersey selling, or the ticket selling, or something. You gotta get these kids something. I think it should be a lesson where they control their own money, like they manage their own money, getting ready for the grown-up life. So I think every athlete should have a certain amount of money from just doing whatever in college. You know what I'm saying? So just pay them. I think you should just pay them. I wish we was getting paid.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Yeah, no, I'm sure you do. You'd have a little bit more money and you made some money off, from Mississippi State, certainly with jerseys and everything like that, especially when you first arrive. Listen, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's good to hear from you. It's really good to hear that you're doing well. You sound good. You sound at peace with kind of everything that's happened in your life. I know it's not the way you would have scripted it, but you're a father now. You're trying to go the non-basketball traditional route. Obviously, you're pretty much done playing, but training kids. And I'm happy for you that you're doing well, that you didn't, kind of give up on you. And I think that's the most important thing, Renardo. So I really appreciate you coming on, and we'll stay in touch for sure. You know that when I come out to L.A., lunch is on me, dinner's on me, whatever. And again, thanks for coming on. This was really good.
I appreciate you having me, Jeff. And to all the coaches out there, you need a big man coach, please call me. I'm looking to coach somewhere.
There you go. Listen, you can put me down as a reference. You know that.
I got you. Appreciate it, Jeff.
All right. Take care, Renardo. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again for joining me on the Good and Plenty podcast. That was absolutely tremendous. I can't thank Renardo Sidney enough for coming on and sharing his insight as a top kid coming up, and all the issues that he had to face. And I hope you understand it a little bit more coming out of this. He certainly did not have a great rap coming up. Mississippi State, USC, UCLA didn't want him, couldn't take him because of all the things going on around his family. But I thought he was pretty frank, pretty honest about the whole situation. And he's not alone. Certainly there's other kids who go through currently some of the same things that he went through with his parents and with everybody else kind of clawing to make a dollar off of him. Some other news in college hoops: the top 25 came out earlier this week, and no major surprises. Kansas, Kentucky, Gonzaga, Duke. You can put them in any order you want. That's the order the AP poll had them. I have them personally: Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, Gonzaga. But the other big news was Braxton Key, Alabama transfer, big man. The latest to get a waiver from the NCAA. The NCAA has been extremely lax on its waiver process lately. No rhyme or reason for that, just maybe the time of day. I don't know. So Braxton Key eligible for Virginia, which is absolutely huge to go along with Ty Jerome, Kyle Guy in the backcourt, and DeAndre Hunter up front. So I think they're a clear number 5 right now. And other than that, Tennessee, Nevada, North Carolina, Villanova, Michigan State rounding up the top 10, Auburn 11. I have no issues whatsoever with the top 10 or even top 25 for the most part. It's all on paper anyway. What I had a little bit of an issue with, Darius Bazley. How about this? The kid who was supposed to go to Syracuse. Instead, Rich Paul signs him, doesn't go to Syracuse, was supposed to go to the G League, doesn't go to the G League, is going to work out this year. But he signed a deal, according to Mark Stein of the New York Times, for a minimum, a guaranteed $1 million, and incentives could push it up to $14 million. I'm sure he's not going to make $14 million from New Balance. And this is a head scratcher if there ever was one. However, the bottom line is don't take this on face value. Obviously, New Balance has got to be getting something else because Darius Bazley is not worth $1 million, certainly not worth $14 million. To New Balance, he's probably worth, I don't know, a couple $1,000. But he signed with Rich Paul of Clutch Sports, who's LeBron's guy, who's got a stable of players. So there's something else here that's being worked out as part of this deal. A scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Whatever it's going to be, we know New Balance isn't just getting Darius Bazley, who's a top 20 player in last year's high school class. That's not all they're getting. So those were two of the big things that happened earlier this week. And again, thanks for joining us. Good and Plenty podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher. We're on CLNS Media. I'm at Goodman Hoops on Twitter. WatchStadium.com. And please come back for another edition. NBA podcast every Tuesday. College podcast every Thursday. And please, please, please give us any of your suggestions, recommendations, and we'll take them. All right. Thanks again.